Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Talkin Wellness, presented by South Florida Wellness Network. My name is Christian.
Mykel.
Kayla, back with ya.
Woo! After a long period of time, Kayla has returned. She's been lost in the desert, but we found her.
We found her.
How was your journey?
My journey was amazing. Hopefully, I brought some wisdom and insight back to add
Absolutely.
to Talkin Wellness.
Yes.
We'll see. I mean, at least maybe a few jokes.
There you go.
I'm excited about today's episode. Honestly,
I am too.
So.
That makes
I am too.
two of us.
So,
No, I'm kidding.
as you saw on the thumbnail, we have yet another episode of My Story Matters. And this time, we're doing Mykel's story. So, we're going to be diving into Mykel's path, his social security number,
Yes.
past relationship. No, I'm kidding.
I don't know, maybe past
Hey, ask me.
Maybe
That's
it's part of it.
something.
Maybe it's part of it. Who knows? But we are going to dive into Mykel's story. And as always, Mykel, the whole point of today is for us to get to know a little bit about you. And hopefully somebody out there in the community will listen to this episode and find some connections and be able to feel like they're not alone, right?
Of course.
So we appreciate you trusting us to do this episode. And we appreciate you yourself trusting yourself to sit on the chair and kind of get the hot light on your face and just being ready to talk about your life. Okay?
Absolutely. Thank you guys for making me feel like you want to hear my story.
Absolutely,
Well, you
dude.
matter, man.
You matter, dude. That's the whole point.
This
Your
is-
story matters.
Yeah, this is the vulnerability chair.
Yes,
so
yes.
We're going to
Yeah.
be vulnerable with you.
Kayla already
I'm
went
feeling
through
the
the
hot
trial.
lights. I'm feeling the hot light
Kayla.
already.
Kayla, let me ask you the question before we start. What is some advice that you can give to Mykel about sharing his story based on your episode of My Story Matters?
Be you. You know, your authenticity is the most powerful thing that any viewer probably would want to receive. You know, I think when we share our story, it's really about like the insights and the wisdom gained from that. And oftentimes it's learning through failures. You know, I don't look at failure as a negative thing. I always look at it as like, man, there's so much there. I also think that there's a lot of hope there. So, you know, just be you.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds
All right.
good.
Well, Mykel, I'm going to leave you the floor so you can kind of talk. We basically want to know, tell us a little bit about your wellness journey, maybe some of those first negative moments and like how those experiences molded you and shaped you into wanting to pursue wellness for your life. And how did that wellness look
Yeah.
like?
Well, first of all, I'll introduce myself. My name is Mykel Crosty. I am 29. I'm turning 30 this year, actually. So I'm getting older.
Old man.
I'm getting older. I don't want to make it seem as if I've lived a long life and have this many experiences and this wisdom that a lot of people don't, though, either. I just have my experiences that I've gone through and, you know, that have made me who I am today. So growing up, I mean, I was born here in Florida, you know, young. I don't really remember too much of my youth, I guess. I had a good childhood. I was raised by Nikki's dad. So I grew up playing soccer and like kind of like a Jamaican lifestyle, like, you know, slamming dominoes on the table, a lot of family
Absolutely.
get-togethers and stuff.
That's
So
cool,
it
yeah.
really instilled family in my life. That's kind of why I made that point. I grew up really close with my siblings, my brothers and sisters. You know, we were always very tight-knit.
How many brothers and sisters do you have?
I have 2 older brothers and I have 2 younger sisters. And then I've had, you know, my mom's been married a few times and we have stepbrothers and stuff. And I consider them, you know, as family the same way. And, you know, and I've had an adopted sister. So I've had my dad's side of the family where I'm not that close with and he has a lot of kids. So there's a lot of like family that I've gotten in touch with over the years and I've made relationships with. So
Family reunions won't be fun.
yeah, family reunions would be crazy if I actually had one. But it's kind of funny. I'm kind of like very antisocial when it comes to that because like I don't even really like when there are new family members that reach out to me, like let's say from my dad's side, I kind of ignore it. I kind of just don't really, I don't know. I don't really pay too much attention to it. I'm very like, whoever I know is my family now, that's kind of my family. I don't really extend it. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But going back to like growing up and things that I would say that like are important in my life, obviously like I have ADHD and we've talked about that. I don't want to say it's like the biggest part of my life, but throughout my life, I've realized a lot of the things that I've lent on are because of that, like soccer, you know, physical activities. I used to run track for a long time. I did math competitions. And when I think about math and like what I did in those competitions, they were just like mental math and a lot of quick thinking stuff. So it just made me think like, oh, obviously that probably played into that, you know? So you know, I when we had originally said to make this podcast, I was kind of like, I don't know really what I'm going to talk about. I have a lot of stuff in my life that's gone on, but I don't know exactly where to pinpoint or start as to like where
Well,
like.
can I ask a question?
Yeah, no.
Okay,
Ask
what
away.
do you think has been like the greatest challenges that you've faced in your life, in the 29 years
Yeah.
of life that you've lived?
So, well, a lot of people in life, they learn things through experiences, obviously, or they can learn through the experiences of others.
Right.
You know, I've obviously done things that are not like great, and I've learned from them and made changes in my own life. But most of the changes and things that I've learned in life are off the back of like people that are very close to me. Obviously, like my mother, or my stepfather, or people that are like inspirations and very close to me, and seeing how they went through life, or seeing how they went through their tribulations and trials and stuff like that, and how they've overcame them. And it's made me the person I am today. So I can give like an example. Obviously, like my mom went through her stuff back in the day, and it was like, right at my prime years, like 12, 13. So like it was a weird time because like I was playing soccer. I was winning, like I was really good at that age at soccer. So like when that happened, it was like a 2-3 year pause in my soccer life. It was like the first time I ever kind of like went through like a chubby phase, and like I just felt very recluse. Like I felt like not as outgoing as I'd always been in my whole life. But also I wasn't like depressed. I never felt like depressed. I just felt like I don't really know what's going on, and I'm gonna pull back a bit. Maybe it is a form of depression. I just didn't really think that at that
You
age.
couldn't like articulate.
Yeah,
it.
I couldn't articulate it, and even still to this day, I wouldn't know if that was exactly that. So yeah, there was that hard time. I'd moved out with my brother's dad, who's not my father. So I'd moved in with him for a period of time when that whole situation was happening, and it was it was a different situation, something that I'm not used to. He has like compulsive things that he's used to, and I don't ever want to speak bad about him because he took me in a time of need, and he's a great man, and like he's a great father to them. It's just like he has little OCD things and things that were hard for me to overcome at that age, but I did, and that's something that I guess I kind of learned, and even now I find myself having little compulsions and little OCDs, and I don't know if that's necessarily made from that, but it's something that I've definitely noticed that I have.
So during that time, because I think that what I'm hearing, and I think what I really would like to know a little bit more about is like in that time and space, because you obviously you have a mom that's in recovery, so you've seen both sides of it, because there was a point in time where your mom was facing her struggles, and then there was a time where you've actually got to watch like your mom's journey, which is so inspiring, so hopeful. I want to know like when during the struggle, what actually was going on with you, and then kind of moving into like, the impact of her recovery then on your life, because I know there was a lot of change in that season.
So originally when the situation happened, she was like, is she gonna go to jail or not? And then because of the whole pregnancy thing, she ended up going to Susan B. Anthony, which is a recovery center for women with children. And because because I was a boy and I was over 12, I wasn't allowed to live there because predatorial women could look at me a certain way, or whatever the reasoning was. So I wasn't never allowed to live there. That's why I went to live with Abel at the time. So like it was a weird situation because I would go and visit her sometimes, and like it seemed normal to me because it just seemed like an apartment in a recovery center. I was never that person, or I'm not a very judgmental person. I'm not like a very like.
But you probably didn't even understand.
That
really,
too.
like,
That
comprehend
too.
it.
Yeah, that too. I mean, it's a little bit of both, but at the same time, I think I did. I was not like a non-clicked. I was like an out of it kid. Like I understood what was happening, but I just didn't really make a point to like stress about it because I always knew from a young age I know people could have it worse than me. I always knew that. So like because I've lived in bad neighborhoods, like not my whole life, but I've lived around impoverished neighborhoods. So I knew I didn't have it bad, and I always had my family. I always had people that I can go back to, so I never stressed about it like that. But the rehab center, I mean, that was definitely different because it was a time where I had to obviously be away from my mom. I had to see her make changes, and this goes back to like the experiences that I learned. I got to see my mom like completely change her life around. Like my mom obviously made a mistake, and that's one thing. Again, I say it all the time. Like people make mistakes. There's no structure manual for how to be a parent. So like her making a mistake is just her making a mistake. It's like I'm not gonna come at her for that. I've made plenty of mistakes in my life, maybe they weren't as big or had that much impact, but I made a mistake, and you know, I can't judge her for that. So she made a big change, and she started working. She eventually graduated from there. She started working there, and then when she started working there, that's when like kind of the family started to come together. That's when like, well, I think I already at that time Peter and her had connected, and Peter is my stepfather at the time, and he had my mom was pregnant, and the baby was Peter's. So I had formed a relationship with Peter actually when my mom was in the rehab center. I had stayed at Peter's house a couple nights
That's so cool,
without my mom, and it was interesting because he was like just a random guy, I guess essentially. But like I never got that vibe from Peter.
Yeah.
Like it's funny, the first night I ever spent at Peter's was the Super Bowl, and we were watching like South Park and Family Guy and a bunch of stuff, and just like because Peter used to be a lot different.
Yeah.
And
Classic stepdad move.
Yeah. So and then we watched the Super Bowl, and he just. Yeah, you could tell he was trying, obviously.
Yeah.
Like classic, he was putting a lot of effort in, and like
But he's like that still.
Yeah.
Like he's just an effort. Like he's just a man that just.
Yeah, he cares more about
Yeah.
anyone else than himself.
No, I just laughed because I remember
No, 100%.
hanging out with my stepdad growing up, and like whenever my mom went away,
It's
for
the
whatever
impressions.
reason,
It's the
It's the
impressions.
impressions. Yeah.
watching WWE, watching baseball,
Yeah.
watching inappropriate movies like
For
Die
sure.
Hard and whatever.
For sure.
Just
It's all-
I
it's
took
all
it
about
trying to
impressions.
be a cool
Yeah.
dad.
Yeah, I took advantage of that though.
No, you
Yeah.
have to.
I manipulated that.
And same way I did, you know, like when he wanted to buy me
yeah.
things, or not, it wasn't buying me things, like a little ball, like a little
Yeah.
$5
Yeah.
bounce ball, like
Oh, yeah.
you know, of course I'll take it. And then you know, like later on, you know, fast forward, my mom's obviously, you know, graduated from there. She started working there, and then she started doing the speeches, like doing the speeches across the country and talking about her story, sharing her story, and you know, people were inspired by that.
Have you ever heard her story? Like her share it?
I mean, I don't know if I specifically heard my mom's like that speech, but I'm sure I've heard exactly what
somewhat.
she would say,
Yeah.
you know. But at the same time, maybe I don't. I'm sure my mom's held a lot of stuff back from me that she hasn't wanted to tell me, which is why, like, you know, it would be cool to have her on to share her story as well. At the end of the day, like, I don't want to make it seem like we're the same person and give all my experiences based off her, but
No.
that is a big part of my life.
100%,
you know,
yeah.
and
Still is. I mean, a lot of,
100%, and
you
it shaped a lot of the way, like even like growing up and not wanting to be in certain groups of people that do certain things and are certain ways, or you know, like not saying tattoos and piercings, all that stuff bad, but like even just me thinking about stuff like that. My mom's always made me do that because of like. Not saying it's a good thing, but it's just I've just always had that level of respect for my mom, where her opinion matters a lot to me, and so like that's based a lot of what I do in my life and how I carry myself and how I treat other people. So that's one thing I wanted to definitely mention here.
Yeah.
With that being said, like I'm definitely not like my mom. We're definitely two different people. I think a lot of like what I think and conspiracies and stuff like that are definitely opposed to what my mom thinks. But I have a great relationship with her. It's probably the best it's ever had, and I'm super fortunate from that. And I'm grateful for my relationship with Peter, my father. Like I tell him all the time, I probably talk to him more than anyone, than my mom, because she's my mom, and I think it's because of that it's hard for me to communicate certain things. But with Peter, I could talk about anything. I could talk about my struggles in life. I could talk about mentally where I am as a man, and like why I maybe feel like it's hard to find a woman for me, like just different things that could relate to a man's aspect of life, and also like a father. So like I'm very appreciative of that as well. So I want to make these things known, because I think part of sharing your story is also highlighting the people that have made you who you are.
Who shaped you.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So like those are big people in my life. Obviously, those are my parents, and then my family, my brothers and my sisters were very dysfunctional, but like it's made me tougher. It's made me not like a crybaby about everything, and made me like at the same time appreciative. Like I've had so many like bad things with my brother, but like the few times I've like profusely cried and like was when my brother was in the hospital, like after his motorcycle accident. It's just like, damn man, like that hurt me, so like there's only certain people in my life that could like really touch me or inspire me or motivate me or anything like that, and it's usually my family or people really close to me. So
That's pretty beautiful. I think sometimes, like, I mean, I think every family has dysfunction, because I think we're
For
all
sure.
imperfect people,
Yeah.
So I'm a believer in that. But when you can move past that and like understand that. But there's this what I call unconditional love, meaning the love that's there is not tied to any condition.
And that's funny you say that. I think that's probably the only place you can find unconditional love is your family.
Yeah.
Because like you're gonna be in relationships and you'll have your girlfriend and boyfriend and whatever, but is it really unconditional? Because if you stop being that person, are they gonna keep loving you the same way? You know, and that maybe those are my own
and that could
twisted ways of love, but like I know like if I'm treating my mom like crap, not saying I would ever, she'll still love me.
Right.
She'll still have me. She'll still be there for me. You know. Yeah. Not saying that you should ever be like that or have that mentality towards anything, but like that's what unconditional love is,
right?
And that, like you're saying, that's the feeling you have with that family, and that's why you feel so close to them, you know. But other experiences in life, you know, I'm a soccer boy. I grew up playing soccer. High school, all of my friends are from high school are soccer players. I told you guys like when I first went there, like my first couple of days, they thought I was like a school shooter / like quiet dude because I never talked to anyone, and I wore like baggy clothes and big like Jordan shoes, so they just thought I was like the quiet, like I'm gonna kill everybody kind of person.
Do you think that you didn't talk to people because you were going through something, or that was just your personality?
I didn't. Well, I could tell you exactly.
Okay, what?
I was an extremely outgoing person, but at that point, this is my 8th school, 3 years.
Okay, so a lot of moving around.
Yeah, so
that's hard. You have to shift.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't trying to be antisocial because after a month, I'm friends with everybody.
Right. But do you think that ties into your thoughts of like that family can only be the place where you find unconditional love because throughout your life you had to move so many times that there was a lot of shifts in relationships?
It could be. I mean, it definitely could play into it, but I think that's more so on my like realism, skepticism mindset where I truly believe that like, all right, let's say we're good friends, right? If I start treating you badly and poorly and disrespecting you and all this stuff,
then I'm going to confront you. And
okay,
I'm going to say, yo, Mike, what's up, bro?
And
what's
let's say
going
I don't
on?
stop or change any of that.
Well, then I'm going to set a boundary, right? Just like I would with a family member to say like, hey, you can't treat me like this, but I'm here for you because I know that there's probably something bigger going on with
But
Mike.
would you do all that effort for
sure,
really everybody?
100%. Well, for the people.
Maybe your family members.
No, it's beyond my family. I have people in my life today.
But are you doing that because at one point they were good to you in your life? And I'm talking about someone you meet day one, you're like, I don't like this person.
Well, okay. So there's a
That's
difference.
what I'm saying.
There's a difference though in like when you've grown in a relationship with somebody and you consider that like an unconditional love with that person. That to me, yes, because I'm very close with my family too. But there's people in my life that I legitimately consider family.
Same here.
So let's hypothetically say your co-workers, not anyone specific. If you don't like them, you're gonna unconditionally love them.
So I am going to.
Or do you choose the relationships that you decide to unconditionally love? Or do you like? What I'm saying is, do you unconditionally love everybody that you meet, or are you like?
So I love everybody.
I pick and choose.
So I love everybody unconditionally because it's part of my faith and I'm called to do that. And I have a
Fair,
love in me that is unconditional. So I do believe I do that. That does not mean that every single person plays that huge role in my life where I continue to have a relationship with, right? Now, the ones that I will have a relationship with that regardless, because I have friendships that are like 20 plus years, right? They're family to me, you know, like their children call me auntie, you know, so and we've gone through the ups and downs because these are people that I've actually went through addiction with and through recovery with. So,
I guess it comes down for me, what does love mean then? Because like, let's say hypothetical, you're in a relationship, right? Or you are in a relationship, but let's say a different one, hypothetically, and you love that person, but they stop taking care of themselves. They stop like putting deodorant on. They stop brushing their teeth. They stop working. They stop caring about their health. They stop caring about your kid.
Then I'm going to be really concerned for them and I'm going to want to like help them.
100%.
Yeah.
But are you going to, you're going to do that for the rest of your life and you're going to love them and like.
Well, that's
unconditionally.
Well, you know what's interesting?
Yes.
Yeah, I kind of back
yes.
But I truly believe people say this, but they don't believe that.
I'll give you a good example.
Because you could say you love them, but you can never talk to them again. You can never have them in your life, and it's because of that person that they are.
I'll give you a good example. And I've talked about this on the podcast back in 2020 when I was having those arguments with that friend of mine. Keep in mind, before those arguments, him and I, we got tight. I'm talking about a good friendship. We would hang out. We would always a couple of us would go to his house. His parents would have food for us. Like we would go to the batting cages together. He would pay for our tickets. Like he was a genuinely good friend and still is. Then we went through that rough patch, that weird 6-7 months where we were like, do I even want to be friends with you? Right? And throughout that time, I was in a mental state where I was telling him things that I'm not proud of today, and vice versa. He was telling me stuff that he's not proud of today.
Yeah.
Right? And we back and forth, back and forth. Push a couple months later. At this point, I had to stop talking to him completely. His father dies. A great man, American veteran, like a great person, passes away. With that mentality that you're talking about, I would have been like, nah, I don't know, I'm not gonna. But there was something inside of me, and maybe it is my faith, but there was something inside of me that was like, let me check out how Dylan's doing. I sent him a text, hey man, I heard about your dad. So sorry this happened. How can I support you? He was like, hey man, I appreciate you calling back. I just want to talk on the phone for a little bit. And we talked on the phone for like an hour.
Yeah.
And just because that we had that rough patch where I couldn't see him as a friend due to the way he was being, somehow in some way, I came back and now today we're good friends again.
Yeah. But I think it's reason, season, lifetime. So we go back to relationships, right? There's people that come into your life for a reason. There's people that come into your life for a season or seasons, meaning it could be that we're really close for a year, even family members, because I've gone years without talking to like family members that are like the closest to me, meaning like I've gone with my mom, my sister, like that's happened within our relationships. But no matter what, like when God brings me back together with that person, then it's, because some of it was on me too, but I'm always looking to pursue that relationship with who God kind of puts in my life at the time. So I don't look at it as like family is the only. I do think that today, the relationship that I have with my family, I'm extremely blessed, and I think you are too, and that's really what you're getting at. But I also look at like my unconditional love happens outside of people that are just my blood family.
Yeah. I guess how I look at it is, let's say straight up, I have my best friends, I have people that I'm super close to. If my best friend decides to just, not be a good friend to me anymore, do his own thing, not check in with me, do like all the things that like,
Well, what if your brother started to do that?
I would still love him, and that's my point.
Would you not love your best friend?
No.
Oh, okay.
That's my point to you guys.
Okay.
Like, I will fall out of that relationship with that person. Yes, I will still care, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I think it comes down to the definition of love. I care about the person still. I still have feelings for Taylor, right? She's my ex. Do I love her? Absolutely not.
I thought you were gonna say Taylor Swift. And I was
No,
like,
no.
Okay.
What?
No, I still have feelings for her. I still care about what happens to her and all that stuff. But do I love her unconditionally? Like, like the things she's doing now, I love that about her. And like, no, like, she is just somehow nothing on you. That's just how I feel. Like personally, like, I don't think that I personally just don't think I could love anyone outside of my family if they're like the relationship is just like not in a good place. Like if I can't just have like love for you, but I don't even like you. I have no relationship with you unless you're my family.
Why do you think that is?
I just don't think it's realistic. I think it's like I don't think it's realistic. It's you can maintain relationships, and personally to me, I think you can maintain relationships and be cool with people and stuff like that, but it doesn't mean you have to love them. Like love. I'm talking about love, like unconditional love, guys. We're talking about unconditional love. That means you're willing to do anything for this person,
Endure
no
all-
matter
yeah.
what they've done to you. You're
Well, that's where our definitions are wrong, because I think it's to a degree. So my definition of love legitimately comes from God, right? And what God says about love. And so that does not mean that I am to be abused and to be all of those things, but I recognize the dignity and value in each person that like it. I know the love that I have does not just come from Kayla, like on my own strength. It comes beyond me, because I would not be able to have the overwhelming feeling that I have and to pursue relationship in spite of the difficulty, in spite of like I can remove what somebody is doing. For instance, like my relationship with Cooper's dad, there had to be so much forgiveness there, right? And the love that most people would probably, never be able to do. That's why I'm saying it. I don't think it necessarily comes fully from me, but my idea of love is unconditional, because that's how I feel called to. but it doesn't mean that I'm in a deep relationship with everyone. You know, I have my people, and those are my people that I am willing to go to. I'm willing to like lay down my life for. I'm willing to do those things for.
And that's kind of my point. Who are you willing to lay your life down
Yeah.
for? It's probably not your friends, guys. It's
For me,
probably
it
your
is.
family. Again, it comes down to like perspective. I truly don't believe that people are like that or as selfish as they want to believe that. But you could be on a completely wave of life and truly believe that.
Yeah.
You know, like
No, for sure.
and it's because of my experiences, you know,
Yeah.
like and it's not saying I've met like really selfish people because
I have.
a lot of the people in my
Are you
life
kidding me?
are not. My mom's not. Peter's definitely not.
But you're looking at it from your family dynamic. So yeah, you have a great family and you've worked through a lot with them and you have great role models.
I'm looking at it honestly more from a relationship standpoint. And I'm looking at it from the standpoint of like, dude, I was in a 6-year relationship with a girl and I loved her to death. We're removed
What
from
did
this
that mean,
relationship
though?
about
What does
it.
that mean? Like you were this
I loved her. I
fully-
would die for her. 100%. We're removed from the relationship about 1.5 years. I would absolutely not die for her. I care about her. I wish nothing happens to her. Would I risk my life for her? Absolutely not. She's not my partner anymore. She's not my responsibility. She's not like, it's just not the same amount of unconditional love that I have anymore. And still, I wouldn't even say before when we were in the relationship, it was unconditional. It was still conditional.
But do you think
Because
that-
if she treated me a certain way, again, it would fall apart. That's what I'm saying. Like, relationship with people,
But
I don't
unconditional
think.
love does not negate. Okay, so I think we don't even have the same
No, of
definition of
course.
unconditional
Yeah,
love,
yeah, of
which is
course.
cool. Because
This episode's gonna be called "What Is Love."
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
that song?
Well, no, because the reality is that even though I have unconditional love for my father, he's not in my life.
Of course.
Right,
I have
but I
unconditional love for my
truly-
father, but
but
he
I-
was a
but I-
terrible
but
human
I
being.
unconditionally
He
love
was not a
him.
good parent. He was not a good parent. He barely took care of me.
But my love
he was
is
an illegal
unconditional,
drug dealer. Like my
right?
dad was horrible, but I love him. He brought me into the world. the
But
earth.
but you just said, so now you're saying you have unconditional love for
So it's
somebody,
family.
but you don't have a
Family.
relationship with them.
Family though.
Okay.
I'm telling you specifically, I can only have those relationships with family because it's a literal, natural, innate feeling that people are given in their lives.
Interesting.
Not everybody, because there are people that are put in trauma situations and they're like, I hate my dad. You know?
Right.
Do I hate my dad? Probably I do hate my dad, but I still love him.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. I can't do that with
But you can't do
anyone
that with
else.
other people.
Absolutely
Okay,
not.
okay. So that's
like
what we're
I got
getting
into
to.
okay. I got into a big argument yesterday with my friend actually, or two days ago. We had a game night. Abby was there too. She saw it because he was being an idiot. And I was like, bro, step outside. Like for real, let's step outside about this right now. And we stepped outside, and then like I was like, dude, what's good with you? Like, why are you being like this? And then literally a minute later, I was like, all right, bro. I realized I made too big of a deal of this, but the reason I did is because this stuff keeps happening. So like I realized my wrongs. I apologize to everyone in there, and it's because I have love for him. That's my boy. That's my best friend.
So would you say that's
and I had
unconditional
hatred at the
love?
moment. Huh?
Would you say that's unconditional
No,
love?
because it's conditional. It's conditional based on like our. He would probably be the closest to unconditional because he does a lot of stuff that I do, like. I'm like, bro, chill. Like,
But you still love him in spite of his conditions.
as a friend. But let's say if he did something I truly didn't respect, or like he disrespected my family or something like that, I could completely
but you can
cut a
you can-
relationship and
you
the
can
love
do
would
that
not be
and
there.
Still, okay.
But I could. I
Like, you could
can't
set a
cut
boundary.
relationships with my family, like, and be like, I don't love you anymore.
So you're more willing to pursue.
I've fought my brothers, like
Right.
punches, like we've punched ourselves and we punched each other. We fought
Right.
fists, all this stuff. I still love them.
But
to
you're
this day.
willing to pursue. So what I'm seeing is you're willing to pursue reconciliation more so with your family
100%,
than you
yeah.
would with a friend.
More so, but even so, I'm willing. I will go to reconciliation because again, that goes back to conditional, unconditional.
Mm-hmm.
Like if it's unconditional, they won't give a damn. Like in that situation,
No,
he's like,
you
bro, I
will
understand.
care.
In that situation, he's like, bro, I understand. Like I'm my bad, and that's what kinds of brings back the like in me, like okay. Like it was wrong for me to do that, and that's why it's a conditional thing.
That's not conditional.
100%. If it was unconditional, it would have been him acting an idiot, and then like I'm like, all right, bro, forget you, and then he's like, yo,
No,
f you,
wait,
and then
wait,
I'm
wait.
like, I love
think
you.
here's the funny thing. I think you guys are talking about the exact same things. You're just putting different definitions
Yes.
to it.
Oh,
I
100%.
think-
That's what I said. Like, I
Yes.
think we just have different definitions of
I
love.
do too.
and-
Yeah, I think you guys agree with each other. You're just using different verbiage. At the end of the day, he's your friend, right? And you
Yeah.
care about him. But if he ever did anything to wrong you, it would take a lot of courage, whatever you want to call it, to
He's never disrespected me on a level to where I'm like, I don't. This is not like a person that I can respect in my life. It's just like jokes. So
Right.
like, if there was ever a point like that, as me as the person that I am, if you're like disrespecting me and trying me like that, I will not have love for you.
But
like,
love
you will
is
not.
So I define love as an action, meaning if somebody, so my unconditional love does mean for me that if somebody is doing me wrong or doing something that I feel like is an error in our relationship, I confront them with truth. Somebody who does not love somebody will not. They'll just be like, whatever. Okay.
You know what? I'll admit, I'm only willing to do that for a couple people, and that's my best friend.
there you go.
Yeah.
Two of my best friends. It's really about it.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of good friends, you know. But that's not. I still wouldn't say it's unconditional love, because let's say if something happened or whatever, I would fall out with them completely. Like,
So,
they're the closest people I am to. It's just I guess it's a.
no, and I get you. And again, I think at the end of the day, excuse me. I think at the end of the day, it comes down to who are you willing to let in, right? And I think that's something very, really valuable that I've picked up from our conversations and your story is that you are very careful to let in people that.
Oh,
you
I don't
really
let people in at all. I used to let people a lot more into my life. Like,
Exactly.
the fact that. Not saying you guys should feel privileged to talk to me
I was just about to
at
say, I
all,
feel
because that sounds
privileged.
horrible.
No, but
That sounds horrible. But like, honestly, I don't sit down and talk podcasts and talk about a lot of like feelings and my perspectives on life to anyone. You know,
Yeah.
like I don't do that to anyone.
Exactly.
Like, very rarely, maybe one time I'll get with my friends we haven't seen
Yeah.
a couple years. I don't do that
you
often.
know what? That's why I do feel honored. But I do, before you were going to say that, I do feel that way because I see that and I don't think it's a bad thing. I think what you've learned through your life experiences is keeping that your circle tight knit.
No, yeah, 100%.
And that's what I'm kind of grabbing at because I do think that you love hard when, and you do I see your loyalty to your family. And
Yeah.
I even understand that from my perspective because trust me, there's been so much dysfunction in
Yeah.
my family. But I do appreciate, the fact that you value us enough to be able to like trust us with, and even, I mean, obviously our viewers, but this space is sacred.
Yeah, for sure.
And you've opened up
I
to
mean,
us.
like you said, people come in seasons sometimes,
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like I've had my friends, I've had a group of like 20 friends since high school. Am I close with any of them really right now? Not really,
Yeah,
Like,
same here.
I went to a wedding like 3 months ago or whatever long ago it was. And it was like, it was kind of weird for me. I didn't even know how to interact with them. They're my like good friends, and it sucked because one of my best friends, like my best friend that I made when I was in 9th grade, like he was one of the first people I met and was my best friend, soccer boy. He told me his mom died like a month ago. And I didn't know about it because I had just been out of the group, like out of the loop with everybody. Because we have a group chat and I just left it and I just haven't cared. So like I felt bad. I felt like I wasn't there for him. I felt like, I just wasn't there in the time when he I'm sure he would have needed it,
Yeah.
So that made me just, want to jump back in the group chat and be there just to be there, But at the same time, like, I don't feel necessarily like those relationships as close as they once were. And that goes back to what I was almost saying about the conditional love. Like, those are some of my brothers. Like, I broke out in tears when he told me that because he's like my brother. Like, we slept over each other's houses, like everything. But like, let's say in 2 years, if like I haven't heard from him, I probably won't think about him like that. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'll always care for them. If someone brought him up, I'll be like, oh, I love that kid. Yeah. But like,
yeah.
will I die for them? And I
Well, I
guess
don't-
that's kind of where my
Interesting.
love,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
kind of where my extent of unconditional love is like, would you be willing to do anything for this person no matter what they did to
But
you?
I don't always think that that's that either.
But I
right?
think that's what
Because-
unconditional love
Not
means.
necessarily, because I'm not going to do something even for my son if I know it's not really like something that's like a positive thing for like. I think sometimes we go to like that full on extreme, but I think that there's definitely like a lot of gray in that.
No,
you know?
100%, yeah.
And it doesn't always look like that. To me, it's just more so of like, it's a love that continues no matter if there's been years like that have passed. Like I continue to love that person, even no matter like where their like whatever their conditions are now, their circumstances, or where they're at in life. I love them. I think they're with our family. At least from your experience of what you've shared with your family, it will always be like a stronger feeling, right? Because that's like we have our
And that's
circle.
why I say I think it's love with family. I think it's care with other people. Like,
Okay.
you have care for them. You have consideration. You have like, you think about them, you have thoughts. With your family, I think it's more of like a love. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah,
Again, it could just
that's
be
okay.
come
But that's
down
your
to
journey.
definition.
It sounds like your family has really shaped.
And my
your
family
life.
has sucked at a lot of times. And like, not to say like, I'm not saying like, yo, my family's the bee's knees and that's why I feel this way. I'm saying I feel that way because it's a natural feeling. And with that being said, my family has had my back too.
Right.
So it's made me feel more like,
But I think
feel that way.
my
That's
perspective on suckiness is that actually creates a more stronger relationship.
Of course. I mean, like you said, every family's dysfunctional.
Yeah.
We don't pick our family. I don't like when I'm born, I'm like, I want that to be my
Right,
mom, my
right.
brother, my older brother.
But it's the willingness to
Her
move
to be
through
my
the
sister.
challenges.
100%.
You guys are so much tighter because you've experienced the storms of her. Like you've weathered the storms.
We're completely different people, and not to mention we have different fathers. We're different races. It's always going to be a different struggle to be able to connect with each
I
other.
always think it would be so fun to just be like in
interesting, too.
his household. I've always thought that. I tell your mom that all the time.
It's
because
cool. I mean,
you all are so different.
It get toxic, but
I get toxic.
I will say, we have gotten so much better. We've gotten so much better in the last few years, and it's because I think we are starting to realize that level of unconditional love that we do have for each other.
Yeah.
No matter how much crap we have been through, we're always there lifting each other
builds
up.
resiliency.
Yeah, it builds resiliency, and it builds a level of like, you know, I got your back, even though I be beating you up sometimes.
So that kind
That's
of
all it
leads me
is.
into my next question. How has your mindset and just your perspective evolved over time in your life, in your journey?
Oh man, that's a cool question.
Yeah.
I definitely was a very reckless kid. Like, obviously I had this stuff with my mom, but it never made me reckless. I think it was more so the ADHD, like being hyperactive. I always wanted to do stuff. So like, and then my brothers, like they were hyperactive too. So like we would play manhunt when I was young. So like when I grew into my 17, 18 stuff, I would do kind of like, you know, not delinquent stuff. I was never like robbing or doing anything like that, but I would do like what's the name of the thing where you do like
what's the name of the thing where you do?
Let's say you like I can't
That's
think
a
you have
good
like
question.
teams and you have to do like a bunch of different things to win money. Like you have challenges. Like run around the track naked. Like
Oh, okay. Yeah. I know
scavenger
what you're
hunts.
talking- yeah.
Like I did a lot of scavenger hunts and a lot of like stuff
almost
like
the
that.
dare. Yeah, like the truth or dare. type
Beach
stuff,
bonfires and a lot of
Okay.
stuff like that in my 20 to 24s.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of clubbing. I did a lot of clubbing.
Oh, you was in the club?
Yeah, but like I'd like dancing. I wasn't a big
Oh,
drinker.
really?
I didn't drink until I was 22.
Mike.
Yeah, so I'm a big dancer. I love dancing. And yeah, so
Well, yeah, I know
I
you were,
always was the
when
life
I
of
met
the party.
you were in the fitness because the first time I met you, you were doing
The calisthenic stuff,
yep,
yeah. I used to
yep.
do the calisthenic stuff, which is like parkour kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like the flipping on the bar.
Yeah,
like it's like
yeah.
a street gymnastics.
I love
So
parkour.
that was cool and that's the thing. My ADHD has shifted my life into so many different directions. I've been a calisthenics person, a videographer, you know, like
a YouTuber,
one wheeler, YouTuber. So like
gaming, all of that.
Oh,
it's a
one wheeler,
detriment sometimes because it stops me from. This is like the Jimmy Neutron episode. He was like, he's making a bunch of inventions and he has like 70 inventions and like
None of them
all
are
of them are
finished.
80% created. So like that's kind of how I feel sometimes. I'm like, bro, just finish your invention so that you can make money off it or
Bro,
something.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah, it
That's-
drives me crazy, but
I feel the same way.
part
with,
of life.
with stuff like, for example, music. Like I was because of the same thing. I was always the kid that never wanted to focus on one instrument. I wanted to focus on all the instruments, and like you said, 80%.
yeah.
Some of them aren't even close to that. Like I know basic stuff.
Yeah,
and
I've just always wanted to be like a jack of all trades. But when you're a jack
And
of
a
all
master of
trades,
none.
you're a master of none. Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's
Read a book. It's called The One Thing. It changed my life.
Yeah. So like that's the thing about it. You gotta like
You know, there's a second half to that quote. You guys can keep talking while I look it up.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
All right.
I'll never forget. I was having a conversation,
You have
or I
another
was
question
watching
for
a
me?
I
video,
do.
and somebody said that everybody likes to use that quote, right? When you're a jack of all trades, you're a master of none. But there's a second half to that, and I'm gonna look it up right now.
Look
You
it
guys-
up. Look it up.
You
Okay.
guys talk.
So looking back, is there anything you wish you would have known when you first started out?
In life.
Yeah. So like even looking back, is
I
like,
wish I would have known Bitcoin's gonna be 60 grand today. I would have bought a lot of Bitcoin.
That's true.
Sheesh.
Oh
There's a
my
lot
God.
of things, obviously, other than like
Yeah.
tampering with the future.
tampering with the future. Yeah.
Okay. I found it. So this is everybody loves to talk about this quote, but they never finish the quote. Here's the quote: "A jack of all trades is a master of none." We know that one. Comma, but oftentimes is better than a master of one. Nobody
True.
likes
I mean, it's good to have a bunch of skills.
About that.
It's good to have a
I've
bunch of
never heard
skills.
that piece. Yeah.
I mean,
Nobody ever
especially
likes
in a world
compliment.
where like so a lot of skills are becoming obsolete. It's better to have like
Multiple,
more skills
yeah.
than
Well,
one.
right. Like, I think a lot. For example, in my current situation with my job, like I think about the fact that my ADHD has caused me to want to learn how to make a podcast,
Yeah.
to want to learn how to work with
sure.
young people, to want to learn how to work in music, to
Right.
want to learn how to do X, Y,
Okay.
and Z.
But I will tell you though, in order to be the greatest at something, you need
You
to
have to
have
do
that.
it.
You have
But
to be that.
this is the way that I view this because I struggle with this too, and it's part of my personality. Actually, when I do like the personality test and it tells me all this stuff, it actually is pretty accurate. What I've recognized is I'm a avid learner, so I love learning new things. I love like new projects. That's just who I am, right? Everything excites me. If I funnel it through what I believe my purpose is, then it all equates to that, and it's building me up for whatever's next in my pathway. And that's kind of how I look at it, because all of this different stuff is like it's different things that I'm focused on, but they all kind of are in the same kind of you know, I guess what do they call them, the basket, you know, the eggs in the basket. Yeah. So what would you what's something that like you wish you would have known that could have like helped you along your journey? Think about like a lesson in life that you've experienced, you know, through.
I guess it like, I mean, there's a lot of cliche things. I mean,
It's okay. We like cliche. I like cliche.
I guess more so like the biggest thing I could do, like when I think of like the most important thing that I think that I could do with other people is probably not open-minded, but like putting myself in their shoes. I was gonna say empathy, but I don't know if that's empathy. But like being able to put yourself in someone else's shoes.
Yeah.
I wish I would. No, I kind of. I don't know. I feel like I've learned that at a youngish age because I'm not like super old, and I feel like I learned that a few years ago, and that I feel like that's what made a big change in my life.
Okay, so that's
a
like
few
the
years
pivotal
ago.
kind of
Yeah, because
turning
like I
point.
said, I did party a lot, and I did a lot of crazy stuff, and like I would go out without the care of my parents, and I would come out at 3 at home in the morning and like bang the door, and I just didn't care.
Was there a defining moment that led to that, like change of mind?
Yes.
Oh, tell me.
Yes. So actually, it was like a defining moment as to like, damn, I'm tripping. I'm wilding out a little too much. And it was I went to a tailgate for the Miami Dolphins, and it's funny, I knew like everyone there. And it was for different reasons, like from high school, one of the other the tailgate parties. So I knew them from like high school. I knew these guys because I had coached with them before. Like I used to coach my old high school soccer. I knew them from work, so I knew like a bunch of different like tables. So obviously you're out there in tailgates, you drink, you like, you know, you eat and stuff. And I was going to every tent that I knew, obviously, and I was drinking a lot. And I just remember like dancing, and that's kind of the last thing I remember. And then
it was a blackout.
It was a blackout for sure. And then I hear the story pretty much from other people. They're like, "Oh yeah, you kept partying, and then like you went over there, and then you kind of threw up on these people, and then we brought you back to the car." And then I'm like, I don't remember none of this. And then they're like, "Okay," and then they're like, "Yeah, we put you in my brother's car, and then you threw up in there." And I'm like, "Damn!" And then I'm like, "We took you to Flanagan's, and then you threw up there," and then we just went home after that. And then I was like, "Dang, dude!" And then they were telling me this at his house. I wasn't at home.
Oof.
So, and it was funny because it was like 3 a.m. or 2 a.m. They're telling me this, and I had work at 8 a.m. the next morning. So I'm like, "Bro, what time is it?" Like, he's like, "It's 3. Like, you're good. I got you. Like, you could chill, spend the night." I'm like, "Bro, I got work in the morning. If I don't go, I'm gonna get fired, 100%." Because I was partying. I was like, 100%, I'm getting fired.
Oh my god.
And so I got in my car, and it was stick shift, and my boy's like, "You good to drive?" I'm like, "Bro, don't worry. If I can put this shit in gear, or if I can put my car in gear,
yeah,
I'm good. Put it in gear, I'm off." I do not remember anything about my ride. I don't remember how I got home. I don't remember when I got home. I don't remember anything.
Yeah.
My car was fine. I didn't crash, nothing. I got home safely, thank God.
Yeah.
Who knows if I killed someone on the way? I hope not.
Yeah, on the way home, I felt a bump, but
That's what I'm
oh
saying,
my
and that's the
God.
thing.
It
I wouldn't
scram
even,
at me,
I didn't.
but
I wouldn't even remember if
Yeah.
I did.
No,
and
for
that's
sure. That's
and
scary.
it was literally that moment that I was like, I gotta chill, bro. Like, because I was that person that I would go buy a bottle of Bombay. I would just literally
Bombay.
because I was like not an alcoholic, but I loved to get messed up.
Yeah.
So like, because
Not an alcoholic, but I loved to
no,
get
because
like
like
get it.
I really liked being the life of the party.
Yes, I get that.
That's what I like. I
sure.
crave that more than
Yeah,
drinking. I
for
hated
sure.
drinking.
Yeah.
Like I don't even drink anymore.
Yeah.
Like at all. I
Because
don't
you're
like
the life of
drinking.
the party without it. That was me.
Yeah. My energy levels. If you guys think I'm energetic now, bro,
That's what I'm saying.
I was like,
yeah, I'm sure. He was popping.
crackly
He was like
back
dancing
then.
on tables probably.
I literally was that person. I was that person dancing. But you know what? I was that person that everybody wanted to be around.
Yeah.
And my friends loved me, like at the time. Like I was so close to my friends because they always invited me at the time. Now they never invite me because I don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
So and they're in relationships.
Yeah.
That's another reason why I'm not really like that close to them is because like they'll have a lot of game nights and stuff, and I'm not invited. And I've known all of them longer than any of them, you know, like.
Wow, yeah.
So, but it's okay. I don't care.
Yeah,
it's just
right.
like their relationship, their girlfriends, like their girlfriends. I get it. It is what it is. But like back then, they'd hang out with me. I know 100% because I was fun. Same with my other friend, my best friend Matt. Well, we talk about all the time. They're like, bro, these guys invite us all the time because we're usually the loudest, most outgoing. We'll talk to girls. They'll talk to us, and that's why our boys will want to hang out with us.
Yeah. But I feel like you're still a very outgoing person.
I'm 100% outgoing, but I choose to be in the setting.
That's what I was gonna say. But you've just matured, right? Because when you think of like, alcohol was always that liquid courage that people are just like, oh, it
100%,
makes things more fun or whatever. And we think that way because it's almost like deceiving.
I mean, it is.
It's deceiving though because they don't say like, but if you continue down
that's
this
the thing.
path,
Yes, that's the thing.
It's one of those things. So
Yeah.
that's cool though that you had like that experience and it actually was able to like, and you remember it. You're like, this was the defining moment.
Yes,
for me.
100%. I mean, I still like went out sometimes, but I would go out every night.
Yeah.
Like not every night, every weekend.
Yeah.
Like once a weekend, not every night. And to like 11, like you know what 11 is?
Yeah.
It's like
No,
the strip club in Miami.
Yes.
But
yes.
it's not like a strip club. It's
I
like
thought
You
you meant
it's
like
like a
11
nightclub.
p.m.
No,
and
and
I'm
then I
like,
got it.
it's like
bro.
it's like
Yeah.
a nightclub,
Yeah.
but strip club.
Got it.
Well, yeah.
It's insane. But
The difference
like,
between you and me though is I've had those moments.
mhm.
And I kept going, and that's the difference. You know,
One was enough for me because I honestly did not want to. I never wanted to put my life at risk.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
never wanted to. I never had anything to cope with.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was literally just like my friends. Like it's a thing around Broward County and
It is.
Pembroke Pines. Like you drink, you have fun, you
No,
go
for
out.
sure,
We have
for
Miami
sure.
right here, so
But
like that's just a thing.
I think it's a social thing, and I think sometimes and that's why I like to shift. Even like I feel like it's so commercialized, and it's leading young people even to believe that like you need this
It's
to
normal.
have a good
Yeah,
time, and it's normal.
exactly. And
Because
that's the way I
it
was.
was fully normal. I didn't know
100%.
that I was, had a genetic disposition to substance use. My mental health that I was find actually like my medication and coping.
Like
in
I said,
this.
my first time I drank was my 21st birthday. So
Yeah.
like it was something that was my whole life.
Wow, so
meant
you actually waited.
Yeah, it was my whole life was meant to believe this was normal to do.
Yeah,
I went to the 11, the strip club, the biggest
Isn't
place I
that
could
so
go to
crazy?
when I was 21.
We literally
Eh.
wait and we are like so excited as kids to get to 21 to go and experience this huge
Yeah.
night of getting drunk and doing risky things that could.
I mean, I ain't gonna lie, it was a fun night. It was a fun night,
I
guys.
get it.
And that's the thing I think that is important to like
Yeah.
say too,
Yeah,
because like
yeah.
you can't be like, guys, it was a terrible night. I regret everything because
No.
like it was fun.
yeah.
Sorry.
No,
it
it's
was
okay.
fun, but at the same time, it's not a positive lifestyle.
But
Would I
it's-
keep
isn't
doing
that
that every
the-
night? No. It's
Right?
like-
Isn't that
it's
the
such a-
reality though? It's like
That's
That's
the
what
thing.
I'm saying.
People,
even if you ask people who are actively doing that, I think deep down they would all agree. Yeah, it's not fun. I do
Yeah.
it because X, Y, and Z.
I've been to a strip club twice, and it was that place twice. It's the most awkward thing in the world to me. And when I say it's lit and it's fun, I literally mean dancing and having
Yes,
fun and being with my
which
friends.
you don't
I
have-
don't mean going and looking at a girl's
Right,
like
right.
naked and like throwing singles. That's not what I mean.
That-
That's
but, no, I
super
get
weird
that.
for me. I always felt super uncomfortable.
So why is it that it's so that this is where I get so passionate about it because I get that. For me,
I mean, sex
dancing
sells.
and jumping around and being a little wild kid, like those things are fun and it's great to do. Like I have Coop and all his friends come to the house and they be like bouncing basketballs, music's up
Yeah.
loud, having
Yeah.
the time of their freaking life.
I
you
mean,
know?
my friends
Because I wanna
do
make it
drugs all the
regular.
time.
Yeah.
Cocaine, weed, all this stuff,
Yeah.
and they kind of like highlight it like it's a normal
They
thing.
glorify it, yeah.
And I tell them all the time. I'm like, yo, straight up, guys, you can have your fun. At the end of the day, make sure that you know what you're doing with the stuff because it can come back to bite you in the butt.
Well, yeah.
Especially I have a friend that's been doing a lot of like coke and stuff. Like I will never say any names or anything like that. But it's like, bro, like
it's scary.
It's scary, 100%.
Yeah.
Because like, dude, one of my favorite artists of all time, Mac Miller, he died from cocaine, fentanyl lace. He's a
Yeah.
rich person that like
A guy with a good
double
message.
checks everything, you know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that could happen to you,
To
bro.
anyone,
Demi
anyone.
Lovato, like there's so
But
many
it also
people.
is like it crosses. I mean, and for anyone, like when I first started using substances, I never thought it was going to cross over and like lead me down the road it did, you know? And that's,
Yeah.
I think, what's scary knowing, because you know from like your mom, you know from being exposed to this
That's
work.
exactly a perfect example.
Yeah.
And it goes back to what I was saying earlier. Like my mom was a big like reason why I didn't do a lot of
Yeah.
things. And back to why I didn't drink until I was 21. Like, bro, everyone was drinking
But
in
I
high
think
school.
that's super cool. I honestly have
Yes.
so much respect for that because it's like oftentimes it can go either way, right? Like you can have, because you have the predisposed, this,
Yeah.
you know, like your genetics and stuff. But seeing that actually guided you in a different way, and it's
it was
not
like a
always-
mental fortitude thing.
Yeah.
I kind of always and,
Yeah.
and also soccer helped me, like knowing that I was always
I think
chasing
so,
a
too.
passion in soccer
I
and
think
like
of the
trying
support,
to push.
yeah.
And that's why I say it's important to have a goal or
Yeah.
like something you're working towards. Because if you're not, imagine if I didn't have like. I want to be a pro soccer player, and like I'm not willing to do that to my body in order for that.
Yeah.
I would have probably did it.
No, you're right.
You know,
You're
like
right.
maybe my mom's things would have weighed in my mind, but I probably would have just
No, you
after-
had
'cause
something you
peer
were looking
pressure
forward
truly does
to.
weigh on you. Yeah,
It does, and during that age, it's not if a youth is going to experience peer pressure; it's when they
It's
are.
when, yeah.
And what do they have?
It's
What
when
are
and
those
how strong they
protective-
are, yeah.
What are those protective factors? That is legitimately why I put so much into Cooper's basketball because that goal of his is stronger to drive him towards like staying out of the other stuff.
Yeah.
you know, and I think that's a huge thing to kind of recognize and
Kids
even
are
share with the
sponges. We
viewer.
absorb up whatever we're around. So if
Yeah.
we're only around that,
Then that's it, right?
That's
and
it,
you
you know?
probably being involved in like the soccer, the gaming, you were like a professional YouTuber when YouTube wasn't even a thing.
yes, exactly. And that's funny too. Like I did YouTube before 15 years ago. I had my YouTube channel. So it's
Yeah.
funny, like the stuff you do and like your brain's not in
Yeah.
the like partying.
But I think all of
and-
those things helped you to stay out of where you could have maybe like ended up. you know?
100%, and
Yeah.
they still continue to do.
Yeah.
Like, the reason I don't go out and do stuff like that is because I enjoy sports. I
Yeah.
enjoy video games. I enjoy music and connecting with others through those forms of medium versus
Yeah.
like, I truly despise people that feel they need to connect to me by going to a bar. Not despise, but I truly like, those are relationships I don't want in my life.
Yeah.
Like, and it's hard to say. And if any of my boys ever hear this, whatever, like, it sucks to say, but it's who I am and it's who I'm growing into.
Yeah.
I'm almost 30 years old. I don't want to have my relationships and the people that I have my life formed around only because we have a couple beers together every
Well,
once in a while.
think about
or
it this
something
way
like
too.
that.
You're self-advocating for yourself. It's
100%, yeah.
Like that's 100% valid.
And there's nothing wrong with them. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It-
I
you're
wish the
just
best for them.
You're just expressing that that's not something you want, and that's completely okay.
Because it won't be positive for my lifestyle. And
Exactly.
maybe it's because I know of the predisposition and different things like that. And it's like, if I keep drinking, I keep partying.
Well, if you keep
I will
hanging
black out again.
Yeah,
I will
yeah,
do this
yeah.
Because I like doing things to do them.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to go have a
go
beer.
100%.
But I also
I'm going to go get messed up,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
But I also think it's because
Like,
your values.
that's it.
You understand your values though, and you are understanding who you are and like what are the things you want in your life. So if I'm somebody who says like, man, family's important to me. I want a family of my own. I want to work towards these X, Y, and Z values. Then what I do is I look at, okay, where are the places I'm putting myself in? Do they align? Am I now making value-based decisions? Are the people I'm surrounding with myself with, are they like-minded people?
Yeah.
And that's what you start looking at when you mature.
And I think that's what my brain does subconsciously. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I like going out and stuff like that. But it's like, when I think of like the people that do this, like, okay, there's things in my mind that I think about. I want to make money. I want to be financially free. I want to have a person in my life that I love and like is a great person.
Yeah.
And when I think of drinking and all this stuff, none of that stuff gets me there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like me going to a club will not find me that girl.
Yeah.
Like none of that stuff will ever get me towards any of the goals that I'm working towards. So
beautifully
what is the
put.
benefit of
Right.
it other than just being like mindless,
A distraction.
know,
But that's why I
distraction, which is
say-
fine. You need to do it every once in a while.
For sure.
Once a
Well,
year,
You
maybe.
find, you figure out what that is for you. But what you said here is you hit it on the nail, honestly, because I think when we have hope and we have something to look towards and a motivating factor, it begins to change like where we put ourselves,
100%.
and the things we do.
Yeah.
It's like the book Atomic Habits. Like he says, like your habits, your identity is linked to your habits.
Yeah.
Right. And so the things that you do, not just, ever so often, but the consistent things that you do actually links to who you start to see yourself as.
100%.
So if I see myself as a family man, somebody financially free, what does that type of person look like? What does their daily habits look like? And you start to look at it like that, and that, I think it takes a level of maturity, for you to kind of get there, to start to recognize like, okay, this is not getting me here, but also to recognize the support in your life and who those key players are.
Yeah.
Because you do have like your family is amazing regardless of all of the challenges and whatnot. And you have a tight relationship with them, and you've had different things, activities that you've been involved in that have really supported you kind of figuring that out.
No, of course. Yeah. I mean, with all this being said, again, like people that go out and have fun and do things, you're perfectly valid to do that. And they could be working jobs, and it could be just an outlet to have fun or release or whatever it is. So like, again, these are only my feelings and how I feel about the situation. Because to me, it just feels like I'm living for the weekend,
right?
And I don't ever want to feel like that. I want to be like, I wake up on a Monday and I can enjoy my day.
Well, I just always want to remember the good time that I had. You know what I mean? When I think about when I go back to my memories.
And you don't want them only to be linked back to drinking.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want my only times to be linked to, damn, I was at the strip club with my boys, or damn, we were having drinks at Mardi Gras. Like, no, I want to be like, I was jumping out of a plane, or like
zip-lining through
like
Costa
doing
Rica,
cool stuff. Or I was doing a podcast with Kayla and Christian, and we were talking about like really cool topics. Like, that's the thing. Like, I'd much rather my kid, let's say he's 14 years old, meet up with two of his friends and talk about stuff on life, or not 14, let's say 20. Or 21, around the age of drinking. I'd much rather them meet up, like live at home with me, meet up with people and talk about perspectives on life, than go out and drink and party with people. Even though that's the normal thing to do, and like you can meet and find your girlfriend and love of your life. I'd much rather them do that because it's a more beneficial thing for them than that.
But you know what? We're starting a movement, because you know what changes that is more people recognizing that and becoming aware of that and saying, hey, this is much more fun too.
Yeah.
And when you start engaging in activities where it's very commercialized. It's not just people. They get sucked into that, where it's like fun only happens around the bar, at a nightclub, doing this. When you start creating like a new idea of like, man, fun happens way beyond that, and actually like stuff that's going to actually propel you forward. And this is how it happens, is you start talking about that and people start thinking like, damn, that's right. Like, I don't need to. Let me actually, rather than putting all my money into, going into here, like, shoot, let's go down to the Keys and do like a kayaking weekend or whatever.
Think, like, there's a podcast that's like extremely misogynistic, and they say it all the time. It's like, realistically, what do people go to the club for?
Right.
Like, what do girls go to the club for? They'll probably go because guys are there. They can get like free drinks, or you meet another dude and like dance and stuff. You could do all that stuff at home.
Yeah.
You could do all that stuff at home.
Or in a healthier environment.
Yeah. It's just like a status
I don't know
quo
if you
thing.
can meet dudes at your own house, but I kind of see what you're going.
You can. You just invite them. You invite them. You bring them over. But the reason, that's what I'm saying. A lot of people will go to these clubs in order to like meet these people in order to get something for them.
Yeah.
But I see where you're going, where you're at though.
Yeah, like obviously a guy can't, have a party and then invite a bunch of girls, or else they would do it. A lot of guys would do it. That's why they go to clubs, to meet other girls, 100%. But like, to me, it's
are they
just,
trying to find love? What are they trying to find?
Yeah, it's just like, what are your true
What is love?
What are your intentions when you're going into these places?
No, for sure. But okay, but to get back onto topic, I have one more question as we wrap it up for you.
Yeah, go ahead, ask away.
With everything that you've kind of spoken about and just given us some of the insight into your life, what are your hopes and dreams for your future?
Hopes and dreams, to be financially free. I mean, just working at different avenues of doing that, whether like crypto, selling stuff online on Amazon, working here, doing separate videography stuff, just trying to make enough money to be like, all right, like I can do the things that I like doing, and then also have money for the necessities, obviously. So that's obviously a big goal of mine. That's a goal I think of everybody's though. And then obviously I want to find a person that's like I can call my person that I don't have to be like fake, or I could be unapologetically myself, because I do have very controversial takes, and like I do think on conspiracies in different ways.
I do too. Like,
and like
you're not
I
alone
want
in
someone that like accepts me, and even though they may not agree,
Yeah.
can understand that we have different viewpoints sometimes on different things. And like
challenge each other.
I feel like
Very
that's extremely hard to nowadays, but I could also be very picky too, because I do want to be attracted to the person too. So like,
well, it goes back to where are you placing yourself in positions
Yeah.
to meet people that are going to be to that degree,
100%,
you know?
100%.
I always tell people that I'm like,
And I'm not,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
so it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna fall out of the sky. So I get it. But yeah, I mean, for the future, the most important thing I try to do is be a better person every day.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know, I have a lot of things that I say that are probably not like cool to say or controversial or a little off the cuff, and I'm trying to work on that. You know, trying to like be more not PC, because I don't want to be PC. PC, like by PC I mean like saying what people want me to say.
Right.
I mean
Nobody
just
wants to
like
do that.
being cognizant of everybody's feelings.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like sometimes with certain topics I cannot do that.
Yeah.
Like
you
I'll admit it, like LGBT and stuff like that. It's hard for me. And it's because of my own prejudice and stuff. And that's not saying I don't like LGBT or anything like that. Or let's say the Black History Month thing. Like I had my reservations on like the Black History Month thing. Like it's not saying I don't like black people or I'm racist. It's just like I have my reservations on things, and I'm trying to be more aware of people's emotions while doing that as well, you know?
Yeah.
Because I think it is important to voice how you truly feel.
Yeah, and speaking about, I guess from recording this, it would technically be last week's episode, but one of the things that we talked about is the idea that you should never feel like conversation is so crucial. You know, dialogue is so crucial.
Yeah.
We talked about that guy who goes to schools and right, but and whether you agree with that person or not, I think conversation is the key to preventing any type of quote unquote war, whether it be physical altercation or emotional and mental altercation. Having those conversations, even if they're difficult, leads to education and understanding, right? So,
yeah, I appreciate honestly your vulnerability and transparency. I think that that's a really positive trait that you have. I think what I've seen in your growth the most is your open-mindedness to have your perspective, but be open to what people say, and not just open to what they say, but allowing that to even mold, like taking that in to say processing, and even if it shifts some of your understanding of things, you're actually seeking more to understand than coming to it with like, this is black and white, this is what I believe. But recognizing in yourself, like we all have biases, we all have things that have shaped and formed our worldview and our opinions and whatnot. But are we able to sit down and get curious and be challenged? Because I always am. I'm like, challenge me, man. Challenge my thought process. I want to continuously like learn and grow. And I think that being honest is sometimes really hard for people. And so I know a lot of people struggle with that. I actually appreciate that about you. I think what you're doing now is you're learning in a mature way how to take that honesty and create conversations that actually lead to growth in the room.
I think a lot of people aren't maybe not honest or don't say things a lot of times because they really don't have the answers, you know. And
but
I think
the humility to say like I don't have the answer.
Exactly. And sometimes, and the reason why I am willing to say that is because the only reason for me to learn those answers is for me to say it.
Yeah.
You know, like because people lie to themselves too. I don't think people realize like people lie, but people lie to themselves a lot. Like about a lot of different things, and that they're coping with things, or that they don't have this thing, or that they do have the, like people truly build their mind frames to be a certain way. And so like I've always told myself like, you know, no matter what, like I can be vulnerable to anybody. I can meet them first day and I could tell them everything about myself. As long as, you know, that, you know, obviously that we have that level of vulnerability between each other. And I think I watched a podcast that's not Yes Theory, but they're like a brand of Yes Theory. They do like other stuff. And they go and they cook for random people in different houses. So they'll go into random houses in like Compton or random neighborhoods and they'll cook for them. And a big part of their message is they're trying to show the world that like you can connect with people no matter what, like no matter what you think or preconceived notions or preconceived hate, you can connect with anyone.
100%.
And that's my thing. Like I want to be able to like connect with anyone and be able to be vulnerable, because you never know how that message can affect them. You
Yeah,
know, like
that's so good.
like I don't like my life changed through like that whole drinking situation and stuff like that. But that's not one situation where my life changed. It's been a multiple of situations, and like a lot of the situations have come from people explaining me or telling me their experiences. You know, so like if I can tell my experiences of why I feel certain ways and different things like that, and it can help someone, I'm always going to do that. I'm always going to try to be as vulnerable as I can. And truly, when you're not vulnerable, you really don't get anything. It's when you're not vulnerable with someone, it feels very surface level talk. And at the end of the day, at where I am in life, like I'm almost 30, I don't care too much for surface level talking. And that's again why I say back in my 20s, I had a lot more energy. I don't have as much energy because like if I don't care to talk to you, or like if I know this conversation is only going to go to here, I just don't care. But if I know I can have a serious conversation to you and open up with you, or it could be vulnerable, or there'll be no judgment there and here, I can have a very, very, you know.
So you've learned where to put your energy, and I get
Exactly.
because that's me too, right? Is I've learned like, you know, I'm the same way. I think there's depth to things, and I want to get to the depth of things. That's just who I am.
And that's another reason why I don't fight and stuff with my brothers too, because I would put energy into certain things like arguments.
Yeah.
And now it's just like I know how things are. Not saying that it's because of them, but like let's say I would put energy into certain things and it would escalate. Now I just don't, and then you learn to like maybe put the energy in an opposite way and be like, yo, like I remember me and my brother got into a big fight. Me and my brother Anthony, we got into a big fight about something stupid, and then he called me like an idiot and like a loser and like a bunch of stuff, and we got in a big fight, and then I confronted him maybe like 30 minutes later, and I went into his room. As soon as I went into his room, he started bawling out crying. And first thing I said was like, bro, it's okay. Don't worry about it. I understand. Like, we say a lot of crap we don't mean to say sometimes. And he's like, literally profusely crying. He's like, bro, like, I'm so sorry. Like, you know me. And I'm like, dude, I know. Like, sometimes we say things that we're thinking about ourselves to hurt people, or
because we're hurting.
Because
inside.
we're hurting. Yeah. And exactly. So like literally that simple situation where I could have been like, yo, man, F you. And we could have been fighting, or cops could have been called. I literally was like, bro, I understand. He did wrong to me. And I was like, bro, I get it. You know, I understand. Like sometimes we just don't know what we're doing.
You know what I call that?
What?
Grace.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
And you know what happens?
I don't always have it though.
You know what happens in the midst of grace? Love.
What is that? Baby, don't hurt me.
And that's what it was.
That's a beautiful display.
No, it was.
honestly,
And
of, like,
you know, we gave each other hugs. We cried. It
I'm
was
feeling emotional.
it was a very emotional thing. So like those are things you learned after.
I'm gonna try to get the right.
That's something I learned after 29 years of life though. If I was 21, we'd be butting heads, and my mom would be in the middle of it, and it'd be a whole family thing. But that's stuff you learn over lifetime, and like being intentional about who you were around.
Yeah.
You know,
and who you want to be.
Yeah, like if I didn't care about his feelings or anything like that, I'd be like, man, screw this guy. I'm gonna go up to my room and just be mad all day.
Yeah.
And I have the right to, because he was wrong in that situation.
Yeah.
And
But what does that do for you?
Does nothing for me. It makes me feel bad. It makes me feel like I gotta
doesn't fix
walk on
anything.
edges. It makes me feel like every time I see him, I gotta be like this for a week or 2 weeks or a month. And then it makes him feel the same way, or makes him feel like when he looks at me, you gotta threaten me. And it's like, what's the point of that, bro?
Yeah.
And again, these are things you learn over time, and you learn to like, I've done that in my life. There's times where I let that happen. There'll be 3 months where I've wasted of my life with that situation. It's like, I'm so tired of wasting friendships and brother and mother relationships with stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that's what I think the biggest thing is that I've learned over the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
And I will say it's a big part of my ex-girlfriend. Like, we were very toxic, and we had a lot of like issues for sure. We probably should have never been together. But like, she honestly taught me how to deal with someone that was not myself, not to be selfish, to like deal with other people's feelings and put myself not first all the time. So because I did do that when I was young, I put myself first all the time, because like, it's my family. It's my family. They have their own lives. I have mine.
Yeah.
You
We're
know,
so self-righteous. Like, oh, yeah, I get it.
I think you really need to have someone. I think people that like take care of someone or have that level of like consideration in their lives, they'll have like, it changes you for sure.
Yeah.
Like, If I don't think I'd be nearly the same person if I didn't have the 5-year relationship I did, where I
Well,
was trying to compromise. And
I
be
agree.
different
I agree.
and
And I
learn
think
about
it's,
myself.
that's why I said like we learn more in our challenges and in our failures than we do like when things are going good, because those are the things that test us.
100%.
That show us. It's like the mirror.
Yeah, if you
I
win
would
all the
never-
time, you're not learning
Right.
anything.
If everything's good, then I think when I don't even need to hold the mirror up because I'm
Yeah.
good.
No,
you know?
100%.
And so it's like those are the things that to me I appreciate most in life. You don't when you're going through it, obviously, because you feel like whatever.
Yeah.
But as you get older and you look back, like that's how I look back. I always reflect on my past, and it's those experiences, those hard ones
Yeah,
that
for
have
sure.
taught me the most. So now I could actually like be in present and say, man, I'm grateful for that, and that's huge.
Yeah, no, I'm super grateful for my life. I mean, 29, almost 30. Got hopefully many more years to live.
We're gonna be doing a the Bachelor whatever for Mike.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, leave in the comments if you want to date Mike. We're
We
gonna do an
have
episode.
we have interview questions. You'd have to
Yeah.
get on the podcast.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
we
the
need
one
that.
condition. You need to be on one of the chairs.
Yeah.
He's a great guy. He loves to ride on his one wheel. I think
Yeah.
if he
I love
found
to
someone,
love.
if he
Long
found
walks on
someone,
the
he'd get
beach.
a 2-wheel probably. So
Yeah.
he could-
Wow.
I got a little backup tricycle wheel to attach to
Aw. Well, Mykel, I just want to say thank you so much.
it. No, thank you
for
guys.
opening up. And I feel like every time we do a My Story Matters, I get more proven why it's so important to
So
do My
important.
Story Matters. Not only with you, Mykel, but with Susanna, with you, Kayla. It's like I keep seeing the importance of sharing your story, because even Mykel and I have had very different stories. And even in that, I've been able to get something and be like, oh my gosh, I never really thought about that.
Exactly. So like we're all completely different individuals as humans, obviously. But when you do things like this, it allows you to find the similarities and the commonalities
Exactly.
yeah,
and
shared
like
experiences.
yeah,
And that's
like
what's beautiful about it.
yeah, 100%. I agree.
So I just want to say thank you for opening up.
For
and
sure.
again, for trusting us.
Yeah,
To be able
I do
to
feel
talk to
privileged,
you.
just so you know.
I
That
do
was,
feel
that was,
privileged.
That was the right word to use, and it's not because you're saying it, but it's because it's the word that I feel. It's not about you. It's about me and how I
Sure.
feel.
Exactly, Mykel. We're done talking about you, man.
He's so controversial.
No, but for real.
Yeah, we were going out a minute about the first topic. I was like, oh boy.
Yeah.
This love
I
thing's
love
I'm
it.
gonna
gonna
try to
get
get.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to get the rights to that song. I think it's Cascade who sings it. What is love? I'm gonna try to get the
Cascade. Is that a
it-
DJ?
Yeah, he made the song. Anyways,
For real?
For
I did not know. I love Cascade. I
but
didn't know he made that.
the point is, thank you
Mike,
so much
I
for
love
listening.
you.
I love you
And
guys too.
Everybody watching at home or listening, please let us know what you think about Mike and his story. Let us know if you
God.
connected with any part of his story. And if you're watching on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified every single time
Sorry
we
if I
post.
mentioned you.
Yeah, please leave an angry
all
comment
in
if he
love.
mentioned you
Yeah.
by name. And if you're listening to the audio version on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever you get your audio versions of the podcast, please leave a 5-star rating or a like or a follow, whatever the app uses to rate our podcast.
Whatever
it
you
really
feel about
helps.
me.
It really helps promote the podcast. It helps push the podcast to more areas, and moreover, helps us connect with more audiences so that they can experience what wellness is all about and what sharing stories like Mykel's can do.
Absolutely.
So by all means, please do all that. We thank you so much. Next week we're gonna come back, and we might have guests, we might not have Kayla, we might have Kayla, who knows, but it's gonna be a fun episode regardless. So we will see you next week. Have a good one.
Awesome.
Bye.
Bye, guys.